Thank you. Okay, everybody, now, today's show revolves around one simple question. You all think you're so smart. You think you can tell a man from a woman? Can a man ever be as glamorous as a woman? We have 13 beautiful women on our show today. Only the catch is that some of them are actually men. Now, do you think you're going to be able to tell the difference? I mean, you think you know how to tell the difference between a man and a woman, don't you? Yeah. Do you think so? Yeah. Oh, yeah? We're going to try to find out whether you really know or not.
By George, Amal is pregnant with twins. Welcome to Access Hollywood. When we heard pregnant with twins. Welcome to Access Hollywood. When we heard the news, we screamed. What is going on here, kid? We have triplets for Pharrell, twins for Beyonce, Madonna adopted twins.
We love us some babies over here. And now a double dose of good news for the Clooneys.
5 months along. That's Amal just a week ago, hiding any sign of pregnancy. Hiding any sign of pregnancy while bundled up under a big coat in Barcelona. Last month, she remained covered up, too. Of course, it is winter, but she hasn't been totally under wraps. Also in January, she posed wearing this floral mini. Her pregnancy wasn't quite visible, but the dress did have a loose fit. Her pregnancy wasn't quite visible, but the dress did have a loose fit. The 39-year-old is due in June.
And it's also important from the perspective of
deterring future perpetrators from committing these crimes.
You know, if ISIS fighters thought that they would be sitting in the dock in The Hague for the crimes that they commit, then wouldn't they be less likely to commit them? Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be here with you today to honor Nadia Murad, a young woman who's not only my client, but also my friend. Question 13. Is it permissible to have intercourse with a female slave who has not reached puberty? Answer, yes. However, if she's not fit for intercourse, then it is enough to enjoy her without that. Question 6. Is it permissible to sell a female captive? Answer, it is permissible to buy, sell, or gift female captives and slaves, for they are merely property. This slave market is still running today, just a few hours away by plane. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time I have spoken in this chamber and the first time I've had a chance to address a crowd in front of the UN Secretary General. I wish I could say that I was proud to be here. I wish I could say that I was proud to be here. But I'm not.
Here are the nominees for performance by an actress in a leading role. Julianne Moore, Still Alice.
I wish I could say that I was proud to be here, but I'm not.
And the Oscar goes to Julianne Moore, Still Alice.
The most challenging aspects for somebody like me is when you don't have the visual clues. So for instance, on the phone, when you're calling somebody, and for any sort of transgender person, or for me certainly, the biggest awful thing was to be called sir. And so I wanted to try and remove any sort of ambiguity about whether I was male or female.
Many people have decided to make a transition and be presenting as the gender that they feel is their true gender, and realize that people are not identifying them in that gender, not because of the way they're presenting visually, but because the voice doesn't match.
feel like I got caught kind of in like the mid-range of my throat. Like on the one before it, it came from like farther down and then up into.
Many people will think about what's the difference in male and female voices. If we're looking at a gender binary, a male voice sounds like this and a female voice sounds like this. And it's of course not that simple. To use one structure to achieve a sound that is normally, naturally made by another structure, it takes quite an athletic effort. About 80% of our clients are in a male to female transition. With that transition, we want to get the client to use the vocal tract in a smaller way. So there are exercises for occluding the vocal tract to make a smaller area for the resonance, and that might involve using straws and different things to phonate with. And basically the goal is to get the resonance forward up into what they call the mask. Can you feel the buzz in your lips? Can you feel the vibrations in your face, rather than feeling them here?
They may not look like warriors, but they are. Amal Clooney and her client Nadia Murad, an Iraqi farm girl until ISIS devastated her life and thousands of others.
I can't imagine anything worse being done by one human to another.
Together, they are taking on ISIS. Urging the UN to investigate and ultimately try ISIS commanders for genocide.
أنا ناجية من الإبادة الإيزيدية ولاجئة الآن. أنا فتاة ريفية وجدت نفسها كيف سلبت منها حياتها الحرة الممتلئة بالأحلام.
I think we both understand who we're up against. I don't think either of us are deterred by that just because the cause is so important.
There are those who would say ISIS doesn't need to be brought to court. ISIS needs to be bombed out of existence.
Well, I mean, there is a bombing campaign going on. The coalition forces, including the US and many other states, are going after ISIS on a military basis. That's part of the response, but it's not enough. I mean, you can't kill an idea that way. I think one of the ways to take action against that is to expose their brutality and their corruption, and partly you can do that through trials.
Edgware Road in West London, centre of the capital's Lebanese community. In an apartment not far from the busy Arab-speaking quarter, 3 generations of Lebanese-born women and a recently arrived 4th generation gather to share stories of why they left, how they've adjusted, and the links that still tie them to home. Rana Halaby Cooper fled the 1970s civil war as a child and came to London as an adult via the USA.
We all love Lebanon. You know, it's one of these countries that people rave about. Lebanese, when they go abroad, they're constantly saying how great Lebanon is and how wonderful it is. And for example, when my parents come to visit the UK, they say, oh, we have beautiful things like this in Lebanon. You know, wherever they are abroad, they're always comparing things to Lebanon.
She's now been here for 10 years.
London's a very cosmopolitan city, so I think it's a city that makes integration quite easy. We have friends from, you know, we have a lot of Lebanese friends. Our close friends, I would say, are mostly Lebanese, but we have a lot of friends from a lot of different places.
She says there's only one thing in the UK that she can't get used to.
The transition was pretty okay. I mean, it was difficult at the beginning, of course, just like any other human being moving to a new country. But now it's okay. It's nice. I like it.
Her daughter Alice has been brought up in Britain and now aged 18 is beginning to ask questions about her cultural roots.
I feel so guilty not to introduce the traditions and the background and the roots to my daughter. I mean, she's 18 and she doesn't know anything about her country, and I feel so guilty.
And it's not just in business that Britain's Lebanese community excels. Baria Alamuddin is a renowned journalist and commentator on Middle East affairs.
There is a fight going on between the two worlds. In a sense, the British are fighting the terrorists, the extremists, etc. Also, the world I belong to in the Arab and Muslim and Lebanese world is fighting the same terrorist. But somehow it doesn't seem like that to the world. It seems like me being a Brit is fighting my other side, which in many ways is not true. I think terrorism is a threat to every human being in the world. It is as much as a threat to a British, Lebanese, Arab, Muslim woman as it is to a purely Lebanese, Muslim, Arab woman. So inside of me, although this controversy might exist very, very rarely, but I see it in other people's lives. People are feeling extremely distressed and unease. Many people even not want to travel to Britain anymore, simply because they feel they will be labelled Arab, Lebanese, Muslims, or whatever.
Baria's two daughters are graduates of Britain's top universities. And are now starting their own families, with roots in Lebanon, the UK, and their new homes abroad. Meanwhile, their mother continues meeting with and interviewing world leaders, trying to bring the best of both worlds, East and West, together in her work.
55-year-old George always famously said he wasn't going to marry, and from that little exchange back in '97, it seems kids weren't in the plan either. But of course, his non-marriage plan all changed with Amal.
What made you say she's the one? When did you know she
about the Amal Clooney married to the Hollywood superstar.
We owe great times to good friends, to the glasses that spark conversation, to the ideas that then pour out. Ours came from a night like that, and somehow survived the morning after. To make our own tequila, one we'd be proud to pass around. It wasn't meant to leave our house, but since we made this for friends, we thought it wouldn't hurt to make a few more. Grab a glass, amigo. Our tequila is your tequila. Our casa is your casa.
Today with Randy Gerber, who is going to tell us all about his amazing Casamigos tequila.
George and I started really drinking tequila a very long time ago. And it came about when we were building homes in Mexico. And we were staying at different hotels, and bartenders they'd recommend what their favorite tequilas were. There came a point where George said to me, why don't we just make our own? It was never meant to be a business. We decided since we're building homes, we should have our own house tequila. It started out just us drinking it for years without anyone, being able to buy a bottle.
You're about to be shooting with Clooney, Monster Money?
Yes, that's been great. That's been so great.
It's been pretty amazing?
It was amazing. Jodie Foster was our director. I mean, George and I were pinching each other, just thinking, how did we end up with this brainiac girl? This is awesome.
And how happy are you for him? You met them all on a set, right? Is that correct?
We went out to dinner. I met her at dinner. It was amazing. Jodie Foster was our director. I mean, George and I were pinching each other. We went out to dinner. I met her at dinner. Yeah.
The approval's there, right?
Oh, yes. George doesn't need my approval, but I am quite enamored of her, yes.
As a married man, have you seen Amal's influence in him now that you've worked together again? Have you seen Amal's influence in him now that you've worked together again?
Only when we're at their house I see the influence. Yeah.
In what way?
In a beautiful way, that all wives have kind of beautiful, loving influence over their husband.
We have to talk about the big snub of the night, or was it a snub? Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, they're supposed to be besties with George Clooney. I mean, they've even traveled together, gone to his house in Lake Como. So why, Elizabeth, were they not there at the wedding?
What made you say she's the one? When did you know she was the one?
I think about 3 days in, you could tell. I mean, I knew when I met her that she was sort of extraordinary and special, and then I thought, and then I wondered if I'd ever get a chance to date her, and then and we were friends for a while before, and then luckily she said yes.
George and Amal Clooney stole the spotlight at the César Awards in France on Friday night. The couple, who recently announced that Amal is pregnant with twins, attended the 42nd annual César ceremony in Paris. George received an honorary award at the event and praised his wife in his acceptance speech. He said, "To my wife Amal, there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not proud to be your husband, and I am excited about the years to come and particularly the months to come." Amal, an international human rights attorney, looked beautiful in a figure-hugging white gown with feather detail that showcased her baby bump.